He's a really fine teacher, still works at Belen. He's an outstanding teacher of the game who always made sure that our players were fundamentally sound. Please welcome Mr. Jorge Martinez, the coach for the years 89 to 1993.
Thank you, Carlos. I feel extremely privileged and especially humbled, especially because I'm not a Belen graduate. I grew up in New York City, but I did attend a Jesuit school in New York City. So when I moved here and I came to Belen, I understood what was always expected of us as teachers and also as coaches. And the years that I coached the varsity, and for which I was ever grateful to Ruben, who had recommended me to Carlos, and then I coached the JV and then moved on to varsity. Those years were years of transition. Belen was starting to grow, and so we actually moved up in category. We were a 2A school, and then we moved up to 3A. That also meant that we had to step up in classification and play some schools that we normally had not played before. So we started playing schools like Key West and St. Brendan, and then we sort of replaced an old nemesis, Gulliver, with a new one, Monsignor Pace. And yes, you know, we had our ups and downs, and I can tell many stories about some of the games here and there, but what I really would want to share with everybody here, the two things that, for me, exemplify what Belen has always been. For me as a teacher here, as you heard, for many years now, but also as a coach for many of the fine young men who played. Two things that really stand out. One was always the sense, the bonding, and the camaraderie that the players always felt with each other. And this was something that I'm very grateful that Carlos was very, I think, forward-thinking in allowing me to have the freedom and the flexibility to make the schedules. So, the years that I coached, we did some traveling. And I think what always stays with me, and hopefully with the guys who played, were the trips that we took, especially to New York City, where we played against other Jesuit schools, the trips that we took, sightseeing in New York City, the times that we had there, the experiences that they had, and whether the guys want to share any of those or not, what they did maybe even after I went to sleep, and stories I don't want to know. And even later on, when we traveled even to Buffalo and we went to Niagara Falls and we had snowball fight in Toronto. So with all due respect to Vince Fernandez, who is our guru of scheduling, who's always, I think, in his tireless efforts, looking to schedule another game, and who, I guess, given the chance, we could play probably some Tibetan monks up in the Himalayas. This game there. We traveled, we also traveled, and we did a lot of that. And so I think the bonding that the players had, the fun that we had together traveling, that was one of the things that has always imbued me. The other thing that still, for me, and really embodies what Belen is, and how tightly knit all of these men are any of the times, even today, when I'm walking on Ponce de Leon and a horn sounds, and there's someone waving at me, and it was Alfonso Cueto. Or I went to a basketball game, and Alex Brito is introducing his two young boys to me. Or I run into Target and I see JC, and his family, and his lovely wife Denise. Or I go to church and I run into George Lopez with his children. All of those things make it wonderful. And that's really what all of these young men, I think, have as a bond. And I think it's really what the Jesuit education embodies. Just even yesterday, I was walking out of here, and Albert Lazo was out there, he was just stepping out of his car, and he's waving me down, "Hey, coach." And then he tells me that he's now registered his son here in 6th grade. These are the things that I will always remember. And hopefully, for all of us here, for all of you all have your own stories. You've got the games that you won, some of those that we haven't, but nevertheless, it's the bond. And that's what's always made it special for me to be here. So thank you.